Hello, my friends. Welcome, everyone, to the first edition of Hurricane D in English. In this program, we're going to talk about boxing movies and the influence of boxing in the music world. For today, I bring you two classics of boxing movies, one from the 1940s and another one from 1970s. And we're going to start with Gentleman Jim from 1942, produced by Warner Bros. And directed by Raoul Walsh. On the cast, we have Errol Flynn, Alexis Smith, Jack Carson, Alan Hale, John Lauders, and Rice William. In the 1890s San Francisco, boxing was illegal. James G. Corbett, Errol Flynn, a brash young bank teller, attends a match with his friend Walter Lowry, Jack Carson. When a police raid nets Judge Gary, a member of the board of directors of Corbett's bank, Corbett's fast talking gets him superior out of trouble. The judge is looking to improve the image of boxing by recruiting men from more respectable backgrounds and having them fight under the Marquess of Queensberry rules. He has even imported British coach Harry Watson, Rhys Williams, to evaluate prospects. Watson finds that Corbett, raised in a combative Irish immigrant family headed by Pat Corbett, Alan Hale, has excellent fighting skills. Gary likes his protege's semi-willingly polished manner. However, Corbett's arrogance irritates many of the upper class, particularly Victoria Ware, Alexis Smith. They clash frequently, but Corbett is attracted to her, and his limitless self-confidence and charm eventually overcome her distaste for him. Meanwhile, Corbett becomes a professional prize fighter. He acquires a manager, Billy Delaney, William Frawley, and introduces a new, sophisticated style of boxing, emphasizing footwork over the unscenic brawling epitomized by world champions John L. Sullivan, War Pun. After winning several matches, Corbett finally gets the opportunity to take on the great man. Corbett's method of boxing baffles Sullivan, and Corbett wins not only the title, but also Victoria. Corbett is crowned as the new heavyweight champion. His victory party is unexpectedly interrupted by the defeated Sullivan, who has come to personally present the championship belt to Corbett. Second movie I bring you today is Fat City from 1972, produced by Ray Stark and John Huston, directed by the John Huston himself, and on the cast we have Stacy Keach, Jeff Bridges, Susan Tyrrell, Candy Clark, and Sixto Rodriguez. Two men barely 10 years apart in age, one with a lifetime of emptiness ahead of him, one with an empty lifetime already behind. This is what John Huston has to work with in Fat City, and he treats it with a level and sentimental honestly and makes it into one of his best films. The young man is one of the young man is one of those cool, muscular youths who seem to be bursting with energy in their last year of high school. Then you run into them 2 years later, and they're pumping gas and they're dreaming about refinements they can make on their cars. The older man was once a boxer and came close enough to greatness to be haunted by it, but now he's a drifter and the next thing to a bum. Leonard Gardner's novel Fat City placed this man in Stockton, California, and contrasted the hopelessness of their lives with the dark persistence of their optimism. Huston's films owes a great deal to Gardner's novel, but it also has something that is in Huston's own: his fascination with the underdogs and losers. Maybe that's because Huston knows the territory. He was a professional boxer himself for a while, but apparently he was not a very good one. The Stockton in his film exists in America, in an America we tend to forget about these days. It is the other side of the image preferred by the Chamber of Commerce. The characters live their lives in a fly-stained wall cabs with screen doors that bang in the wind. They hang out of the kind of bars the advertises in the window the price of a shot and a beer. That's the sort of bars they used to frequent. They know in their bones it will take a miracle to get them out of their lives, because they know accurately that they don't have what it takes. So they dream and bank on long shots. Even after all the hours of training and road work and pep talks, the boxers in Fat City feel little confidence in themselves. They substitute brag for optimism. Huston's boxers are Stacy Keach, the electrifying New York stage actor who was mostly overlooked in films like Dog and End of the Road, and Jeff Bridges, who was the young man who went away to Korea in The Last Picture Show. Keith plays Tully, whose boxing career is all over, although he miraculously pulls himself together for one final victory. Bridges plays Ernie, who never has what Tully lost. He does have a strong body and a few good moves, but basically he's a pushover. Houston tells his story in a slow, atmospheric way, and characters drift into it and stay because they have no place elsewhere to go. There's Oma, Susan Tyrell, a youngish but bloated alcoholic who picks up with Tully while her lover is serving a little time. She's dumb, vulgar, and all the other bad things we think about people who never had an education and drink cream sherry all day. But she has a heart, by God, and she believes in all the naive cliches that do her for a philosopher. Belief is important to these people because there is nothing else, not even the realization of belief. Take Rubens, Nicolas Colosanto, who runs the local gym, manages fighters, and promotes bouts when he can. He is old and poor and in a dying industry, but when a new kid comes into the gym, he blinks once and sees Marciano. He drives his boxers over the next town for a fight and drives them back when they have lost. All the time talking about Madison Square Garden. The one performance in the movie, I'm sure it's hard to forget, comes from Sixto Rodriguez, an actor who doesn't have a single line of dialogue. He plays a Mexican fighter who once briefly had a reputation, and is brought in by bus to fight Tully. He comes to the stadium surrounded by a vast silence and loneliness. He urinates and there is blood, and we know his secret. He is in such much pain he can barely stand, but he goes out and fights and loses, and gives Tully a moment of glory that we know is so small as to hardly be measurable. Few critics of Fast City found it too flat, too monochromatic, but this material won't stand jazzing up. If Houston and Gardner had forced the story into a conventional narrative of suspense, climax, and resolution, it would have been quite obscene, actually. There just isn't going to be any suspense, climax, or resolution in the lives of these people. Just a few moments of second-hand hope that don't even seem worth getting very worked up about at time. And well, my friends, this is all for today's program of Hurricane D. We're going to bring you a few more movies on the next program, and if you like it, please subscribe to the channel, click on like, and you can leave also the comments if you want. We talk about specific movie or a specific artist or director or actor who was involved in boxing. Don't hesitate to comment also there. See you next time.